Welcome back to Up North at 4. We are joined by Mike Fugle. He is the current Corporation Counsel for Oneida County. Now, Judge Michael Bloom is resigning at the end of his term. This means April 2nd, there will be two candidates on the ballot for Branch 2 Judge. Mike Fugle is one of them. We talked to Mary Sawinski yesterday, and today it's Mr. Fugle's time to shine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
For the people at home who don't know anything about you, what's your background, Mr. Fugle?
Well, so briefly, I grew up in Minneapolis, went to Carroll College, moved out to Winter Park, Colorado for 9 years, skiing 130 days a year. I managed a resort hotel, and at that point I wasn't skiing. I was working all the time, and so it was time to go to law school. And I came back to Wisconsin, to Marquette, graduated from Marquette, worked for 6 years as a criminal defense attorney in Milwaukee, doing a high-volume criminal defense work and some civil litigation. Then in 2008, fortunate enough to be able to move up here with my wife and 5 kids, and started working for Oneida County doing in the Corporation Counsel's office, and that office does all of the civil legal work for Oneida County.
And Michael, how does what you do right now prepare you to be a judge?
Well, and thank you for asking. So I have a very broad background in the law. A lot of what I do now, the cases are closed, they're confidential because of the individuals involved. Either it's children in need of protection services, mental health act cases, someone who's mentally ill and endangering themselves or others. So I have a broad exposure to the law. I've spent a lot of time in the courtroom. I've had the opportunity to observe a number of, we've been very fortunate in Oneida County to have very good judges, and so I've observed them, kind of see how they do it. And so I think that I have a good background to prepare myself to take the bench.
I have a situation for you, Mike. Let's say a defendant is giving some testimony that conflicts with law enforcement testimony. How do you handle that situation? How do you find the truth in a courtroom?
Well, it's all about assessing the credibility of both of the witnesses. And, you know, there's no formulaic answer. There's nothing, you know, there are certain things where you can tell when someone is being untruthful, but just because people are giving different testimony doesn't mean that someone is lying. You know, one of the classic things with eyewitness identification and eyewitness testimony is people perceive things differently. So as a judge, you have to be able to decipher, you know, what is in fact what happened, you know, where there's some commonality, and, you know, look at why, you know, look at what type of bias the person has who is giving the testimony as well. So that's a very lawyer answer for.
Makes sense.
You kind of got to see how it works out.
Yeah.
And Michael, Michael Bloom is retiring. So what kind of changes would you make to the Branch 2 moving forward?
Well, I think it's presumptuous to say that I would make this or that change. I certainly think that taking the bench, there's going to be a steep learning curve, and I think I'm very prepared for that. But there's a lot to being a judge in terms of managing the courtroom, you know, a lot of preparation work that has to happen. Eventually, I would like to see a family drug court, and that comes out of having done the children in need of protection services cases. You know, the drugs are a significant problem in our community. It's very detrimental for kids whose parents are abusing drugs, and I think it's important to create a situation where those people are motivated to get the treatment, because if they aren't motivated, then it's not really going to take.
Right.
Well, Mike, we just have a few seconds left here. Why do you think you're the best choice for judge in the county? Well,
I think I've explained my background. I think I'm a very straightforward guy. I've got a good head on my shoulders. I've spent a considerable amount of time in managing my office, having to make important decisions, and so I certainly think that I'm prepared for that, to take the next step and be on the bench.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Good luck to you. The election is April 2nd. Everyone in Oneida County can vote for that. It'll be Mike Fugle versus Mary Sawinski. Thanks, Mike, for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after the break. We're going to talk to an author from Hazelhurst. We'll see you in a few minutes.